Whoopi, it is deeply unfortunate that I keep running into you like this. This is not necessarily a video that I like to make. I like Whoopi Goldberg. In fact, I like all the cast of Star Trek. They have a special place in my heart just because of the history that they share and me growing up watching them. By the same token, when it intersects with political space, well, that is different. And in that sense, I have a job to do. And truth be told, Whoopi Goldberg has hit rock bottom. She has fallen into a well of self delusion to such an extent that when presented with this notion of Joe Biden pardoning Hunter Biden, which was a clear lie, it was an obvious lie. Of course, he was going to always pardon his son. He had nothing left to lose. This was going to be his last term. So, of course, he was going to do it. And he told the American public over and over and over and over again. He had his press secretary telling the American public over and over and over again, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let the justice system run its course. And again, it needs to be understood why Joe Biden said that. At the exact same time that Donald Trump was being put in one court case after the next all over the United States, I think it was like over 90 indictments. Well, Trump was saying this was rigged, this was bogus, this was nonsense. I can't believe that they're using the justice system to come after me in such a way. That was his argument. And so the Democrats said, well, we believe in justice. We believe in law and order. And even to the degree that the president's kid he's going to let that justice play out. That's how much we, the Democratic Party, believe in law and order. So, we're nothing like Trump. Trump is trying to blow off the justice system while we'll believe in it. That was the theme. That was the thing that they were saying all the way through when, of course, he was going to pardon his kid. It was a lie. Nevertheless, Whoopi Goldberg, who initially said she's a working person in order to minimize this argument about people being injured under the Joe Biden term. And then that went into her screaming out at the top of her lungs, my vagina is closed. Nobody is going to be getting into this vagina. My nana is off limits. Now, that killed a lot of thirsty people like me that was trying to get into that gynon vagina. Fair enough, it hurt greatly. But there's also this question of how much whoopee was Whoopi having where she needed to scream that out to make it perfectly clear. Nobody is getting into this vagina. Full stop. It's a bit strange. Now, a lot of this has to do with the fact that Kamala Harris lost, that she was boosting Kamala Harris. She wanted a Democrat to win, and she was in full Trump derangement syndrome, had a full-blown case of it, and continues to have that full-blown case today. When the question of whether or not it was a lie came up on The View, because obviously it was going to come up, Whoopi Goldberg pointed out, I don't even consider this a lie anymore. Because, he was addicted to crack. So somehow it becomes non-lie. That's pretty astonishing. That completely destroys, obliterates, gut punches any notion of reality of the definition of lie. And you're doing this all for a crackhead, a drug addict who is getting a 10-year pardon for all the criminality that took place over those 10 years, and potentially even trying to hide the criminality of the influence peddling that was taking place between him and Joe Biden, because as it pointed out by the whistleblowers, they were not allowed to look into those cases and that connection, especially considering you have text messages saying the big guy. I want to play this clip. This is Whoopi Goldberg. Just astonishing to me. Even if you back Joe Biden, okay, fair enough, but you don't have to destroy reality to do it.
That's it as a parent. I understand why he would do it, but I wanted to understand why lie about it for so long?
I'd stop calling it a lie.
Okay, why repeatedly say you're not going to and you do? And secondarily, for the part of this country, half of it that doesn't support Biden, doesn't know him personally, doesn't get to have phone calls, and they're just looking at a system that seems like it only benefits the people who are in power.
I'm going to say,
what precedent does that set?
Well, here's what it says. It's a precedent for all of us to open our eyes because we've elected someone who is in a similar situation, who didn't have a drug problem, who knew what he was doing, who clearly stood and said, I can do this. And he did it. So I think for many, many reasons, this is very different than any other situation that we have ever dealt with.
I respect it as a parent. I understand why he would do it.
Yeah.
But I want.
That's astonishing. That's astonishing. That's astonishing. For one, those are two different things. And that still doesn't change the fact that it's a lie. That's not a defense for it not being a lie. Those are explanations of why he did it. Those are, we should take a soft eye because he's a crackhead explanations. Okay, fair enough. But it's a lie. Full stop. It's a lie. And you are making this, it's not even an argument for why it's not a lie. It's a justification for Joe Biden doing this. But that doesn't change the fact that it was a lie. Look, this is Joe Biden himself standing up saying, I am not going to pardon my son when asked directly about it. Hey, Joe Biden, are you going to pardon Hunter Biden?
I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that.
I said I will abide by the jury decision, and I will do that. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre, the historic press secretary, as she calls herself. Here is 8 minutes of her, and no, I'm not going to play 8 minutes, but 8 minutes of her saying the president is not going to pardon his son. He said it loud and clear.
This one, and so we'll see.
Okay. Let me go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there?
I just said no. I just answered.
Will the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear and I said no. Go ahead, Mary.
Thanks, Karine. You said that President Biden was familiar with what his son was going to say on Capitol Hill. If I called my dad and said, I am about to violate a congressional subpoena, he'd probably say, son, you shouldn't do that. Was there any attempt by President Biden to talk Hunter out of it today?
You're going to call your dad Steve?
Call him dad, usually.
Look, I don't have anything else to add. The president was familiar with what Hunter was going to say today. Look, he's proud of his son. He and the First Lady are proud of his son, how he's rebuilding his life back. He's going to focus on what is needed on the American people. Hunter, and I've said this many times, is a private citizen. And so certainly I would have to refer you to his representatives. I'm just not going to get into private conversations because what you're asking me is actually a private conversation. I'm just not going to get into it.
First briefing since Hunter was indicted again in Los Angeles. Why doesn't President Biden just pardon him?
President, I've been very clear. The president's not going to pardon
And
his son.
one more about this Ukraine money for war.
I've been very clear. The president is not going to pardon his son. I've been very clear. There's 8 minutes of her doing that and of her saying that. I'm not going to pardon my son. Again, this is pretty extraordinary. Look, man, Whoopi, I'm sympathetic to you in this. Your guy lost. Fair enough. And you're going through all sorts of internal suffering, kind of like a Joy Ann Reid character. But reality is something else. And on some level, you have to accept reality for what it is, even if you understand why Joe Biden is doing this. That doesn't change the fact it's a lie. And I would argue you shouldn't even understand why he's doing this. Hunter Biden has led a life of criminality, whether it was the crack, whether it was the prostitution, the drugs. You can go into not paying his taxes, lying on the gun charge. They got him for lying on the gun charge because Hunter Biden said that he was not addicted to crack when he hit the box that says, "Are you addicted to crack?" The very next day, Hunter Biden was texting his crack dealer, Mookie, to get him some crack. I hope you understand what I mean, right? This guy has led a life of criminality. And Joe Biden is giving him a pass on it for 10 years. And again, this is on some level self-serving because who the hell knows what relationship between Joe Biden and Hunter Biden existed in a financial sense that might have been a crime, that putting this part out gets rid of it all. Basically, nothing to see here Biden info, despite the fact that it was clear as day that Hunter Biden was using Joe Biden's name for credibility in his business dealings. If you remember, Joe Biden said, I wasn't aware of anything that Hunter Biden was doing in his business dealings. And then you find text messages that make it clear that Joe Biden was sitting there having conversations with Hunter Biden's business associates, having dinner with these guys. Now, again, as I pointed out, I don't think it's as comical as somebody saying, hey, I am here to make a fraudulent deal with you that is illegal. I don't think it's that. If anything, it's more refined. And Joe Biden has been doing this for what, 50 years? And so this stuff is down to science at this point. It's influence peddling. It's leveraging your dad's name. If the VP of the United States sits down with you at a business meeting with Hunter Biden, that gives you some clue that Hunter Biden has the heft to do whatever he said he's going to do and whatever he has effectively promised. And Joe Biden doesn't have to utter a word. His very existence there gets it across. Joe Biden certainly knows that, considering they have been leveraging his name for the last 30, 40 years, going to the time he was in Delaware. Also, there's this other aspect of this that I think Whoopi Goldberg is flagrantly ignoring, or maybe not know. The crime bill that was put into play that put Black folks in jail longer for doing crack because it was cheaper and Blacks were poorer. Joe Biden was a proponent of that bill. He had no issue throwing people in cages. He didn't care. He said it himself, I don't care how they were brought up. Throw them in a cage, meaning all of these people that are out there that had issues associated either with taxes, had issues with drugs or something like that, they were picked up by the law and engaged by the law will not get this soft eye, let alone a get out of jail free card that Joe Biden is now providing. It's outrageous. And it was a cynical lie from its very inception, because they knew that he was going to give that pardon. Joe Biden knew that he was going to do that pardon either way. There was no way he was going to let his kid to be put in a cage. And as I said in the first part of the video, why he did it and why it was so cynical. The one last part that I want to get to is this. This is Joe Biden on the stump when he was a younger man, when he was more of himself than he is now,
Crack
on the stump, talking about crack cocaine. Now, they didn't get Hunter for crack cocaine. They got Hunter for other stuff. But Whoopi Goldberg is arguing that we should feel sympathy and sorry for Hunter Biden in this situation, and that somehow that sympathy of a father's love for his child transformed it into a truth as opposed to a lie. That's nonsense. That's fundamental nonsense. And Goldberg, 3 a.m. between her and her God, I can't believe she is that self-deluded. I want to play this clip of Joe Biden because for all of the sympathy that Whoopi Goldberg is talking about, Joe Biden didn't have that sympathy when he was a younger man talking about crack dealing. And there's one part for Joe Biden, and the other side, this is Hunter Biden doing crack.
If you have a piece of crack cocaine, no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, 1/4 of $1, we passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice.
Judge doesn't have a choice. There's no sympathy. There's no compassion. There's no, well, what about the upbringing? What about the life situation? What about, other environmental factors that may have led the person down this particular path of life? The judge gets no choice. They get 5 years. Full stop. I'm Joe Biden. I love it. I'm going to push for this. I'm going to pass this, and I'm going to throw people in prison for 5 years if they're doing crack. I get it that Hunter Biden is not up on crack charges. I'm pointing out that the sympathy that Whoopi Goldberg is talking about that we should have in this situation and that a father has for his child, it's not the sympathy that Joe Biden at any point emanated when he was in Congress. That's my point. Talking about it's not a lie because, hashtag father's love. Nonsense. Whoopi, you should be a better person than this. I do not want to have to keep doing these videos on you. God, I'm going to have to create a playlist at this point. Your guy lost. And your guy lost for very clear reasons. I had a conversation with a good friend of the family last night about this very same issue. He was bringing up all of these policy points. And I pointed out to him, look, man, you lost because A, you had a party that was backing a genocide, and you should not be able to prosper in backing a genocide. So the youth vote didn't show up. There's that. And on top of that, the working class abandoned the Democratic Party. And you have to figure out why that's the case. You can't just scream, but Trump is this, Trump is that. Okay, well, that argument failed to get the majority of the American public, and it is the candidate's job to create a coalition that can win. The idea that a Democratic Party that is supposed to be philosophically the embodiment of the working class, lost the working class, should be what you're engaging. What is wrong with the political party that failed so miserably, that spent $1.5 billion? And it is a self-serving argument to tell yourself in the morning, in the mirror, people were just racist, sexist, bigoted. They just didn't like her for stupid reasons. They're just silly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No, engage that honestly, because honesty is your way out. And these self-delusions helps no one. The blue, no matter who, allows you to persistently back weak candidates that fundamentally doesn't deal with the economic realities that people are dealing with. And so I get it that you're a millionaire, working person, as you want to call yourself, fair enough. But people live a different experience. And you have to deal with that. And if you, as opposed to doing this nonsense, lying for the political party that you back, had a more honest take on it. And yeah, it's critical against that political party. That criticism makes them stronger, not weaker, because it creates a line. It creates a baseline. Nothing can go beyond this point and get elected. And to full well mean it, and to be able to put a knife in anybody that is going below that metric, and have some confidence that doing that makes them stronger, especially when they run. Your take, this line, for the sake of protecting a political party, does nothing to protect that political party. I'm going to say like this video, share this video far and wide. And look, I'm trying to grow this channel. We are growing, we are moving. And I thank all of you for doing that. I want to thank all the new members that have joined this channel. You can catch the show Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday Eastern Standard. If you want to support this content, you can do so through PayPal, Patreon, or for that matter, Super Chats. All Super Chats will be read, provided they're not racist, sexist, or bigoted. And look, all of it helps. Give this video a like if you like it. Share this video if you indeed like it that much. You have my deep appreciation. I'm going to say like, I'm going to say share, and I am going to say subscribe. Have a good one all.